I banged it just enough to get my room so I could ram his shit up, ram it up his ass. Right? My window was there. He tried to grab it. So he came in the window.
The tension between Jim Jones and Max B has lingered in hip-hop for more than a decade, and every time the topic resurfaces, the culture stops to listen. But the moment 50 Cent stepped into the conversation and broke down why Jim Jones allegedly fears Max B, the internet exploded all over again. This wasn't some random rumor or lightweight speculation. This was 50 Cent tapping into a feud that forever reshaped Harlem, shifting alliances, killing careers, and creating one of the most legendary fallouts in East Coast rap history. The moment 50 began speaking on the topic, social media lit up with people revisiting old interviews, forgotten diss tracks, court documents, and behind-the-scenes stories that shaped one of the most dramatic rivalries New York has ever seen. To fully understand why 50 Cent's comment struck such a powerful chord, you have to travel back to the early 2000s, a time when the Dipset empire was taking over Harlem and Max B was becoming one of the most charismatic, wave-shifting voices in rap.
Right around that time, Max B gets found guilty on 9 of 11 counts, including felony murder. And he gets sentenced to, was it 75 years?
Yeah, 75.
His hooks were infectious, his melodies ahead of their time, and his street presence undeniable. Max B was the kind of artist who didn't need PR teams or marketing strategies. He stepped into a room and controlled it. That natural star power and fearlessness made him both a valuable ally and a dangerous rival. Jim Jones, meanwhile, was climbing the ranks as the face of Bird Gang, shaping Dipset's momentum and becoming a respected figure in the streets and the music industry. At first, Max and Jim were unstoppable together. Their chemistry on tracks was undeniable. Raw Harlem energy, humor, grit, and swagger blended into something that changed the sound of East Coast rap. Songs like G's Up and Baby Girl showed exactly why fans believed Max B was destined to take Dipset to the next level. But behind the scenes, things were already cracking. Money disputes, contract issues, ego clashes, and creative differences began pulling the two apart. Max B felt he wasn't getting his fair share. Jim Jones felt his leadership was being challenged. And once the respect between two powerful personalities disappears, the streets step in to finish the job. The fallout became one of the ugliest feuds Harlem had ever witnessed. This is where 50 Cent's perspective becomes crucial.
In his drive already. I don't owe nothing. He got all his songs already. How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made incredible music. All he did was rhyme 16s. Well, you know, I made the hooks. I made the melodies. Yeah. I made the shit, dog. I'm the man.
While he was never part of their crew, he was close enough to the culture and experienced enough with industry politics to see exactly why the relationship crumbled. And according to 50, the tension wasn't just about music. It wasn't just about business. It was about fear. Not fear of violence, but fear of exposure, fear of truth, fear of what Max B represented and what he knew. The Wave God wasn't just a rapper. He was a force that Jim Jones couldn't fully control. And that, 50 Cent claimed, is why the rivalry still hits so deep today. According to 50 Cent's breakdown, the fear surrounding Max B stems from something far bigger than old beef. 50 explained that Max B represents the one part of Jim Jones's career he could never rewrite, never edit, never erase. In an industry where artists reinvent themselves every few years and reshape their public image through interviews, brands, and TikTok trends, Max B remains the one chapter Jim Jones can't clean up. Every time a Max B clip resurfaces, every time someone mentions the wave, every time fans revisit old Dipset records, the internet is reminded of the raw era where Max B was the creative engine behind some of Jim's biggest hits. 50 Cent pointed out that Max B's influence wasn't just musical, he was a cultural disruptor. Before rappers were singing their hooks, before melodic rap became mainstream, before melodies took over Spotify, Max B was already there, experimenting, bending rules, floating on beats, and showing the streets a sound they had never heard before.
I don't owe nothing. He got all his songs already. How you think he got so hot? Came out with all them tapes. I did that. I put them hooks together. I made incredible music. All he did was rhyme 16s. Well, you know, I made the hooks. I made the melodies. Yeah. I made the shit, dog. I'm the man.
Even artists who came later admitted Max B changed the game. His style influenced French Montana, a Boogie, and a whole generation of melodic rappers who built careers off the wave he started. This is what, according to 50, scares Jim Jones the most. Because no matter how many hits Jim drops, no matter how many interviews he does, and no matter how much rebranding happens, Max B always remains a cultural ghost hovering over his legacy. It's not personal rivalry, it's legacy pressure. And legacy pressure is the kind of fear artists never admit but always feel. 50 also highlighted how the legal situation played into the power imbalance. When Max B went down for the murder case that eventually resulted in his decades-long sentence, Jim Jones's career continued moving forward. But instead of the situation ending the tension, it made it worse. Fans constantly debated whether Max was mistreated, whether he was financially abandoned, whether he was taken advantage of, whether those claims were accurate or not. The perception spread, and perception is often more powerful than facts. 50 Cent explained that perception is the real reason Jim Jones tries to avoid discussing Max B in detail. Because every time the topic resurfaces, old wounds open, old clips resurface, old excuses fall apart, interviews get re-examined, contradictions get exposed, and fans, especially younger fans discovering the story for the first time, start asking questions Jim Jones doesn't want to answer. And that's exactly why, according to 50 Cent, Jim Jones prefers silence when the topic comes up. Max B isn't just a former collaborator, he's the one chapter of Jim's story that refuses to disappear. The internet won't let it die. Hip-hop historians won't let it die. Even rappers from outside New York continue reminding people about the Wave God whenever they talk about influence.
My name is Max B, aka Max Bigavell. We know Bigavell stands for Big Jig and Pac, right? But where did the name... Yeah.
For Jim Jones, Max B is a walking reminder of unfinished business, and that's what 50 says he fears the most. Another major point 50 Cent emphasized was how Max B's personality plays a massive role in the fear dynamic. Max B wasn't just talented, he was unpredictable in a way that scared even seasoned rappers. His humor, his charisma, his trolling ability, his confidence, his fearlessness, nobody could control him. And 50 explained that this kind of personality is exactly the type Jim Jones struggled with. Max B had no filter. If something bothered him, he said it publicly. If someone crossed him, he clowned them. If a situation didn't sit right, he addressed it in the most entertaining but painful way possible. And once the relationship between him and Jim fell apart, Max unleashed verbal attacks that carved deep wounds into Jim's reputation, calling him out for contracts, money, leadership, and credibility. Max did what few rappers could do. He disarmed Jim Jones using nothing but jokes, swagger, and Harlem comedy. This, 50 said, is the part Jim fears the most. Not physical danger, not lyrical smoke, but Max B's mouth. Max had a way of talking that made rivals look soft, disorganized, or fraudulent. Harlem slang mixed with fearless confidence made every insult sound twice as disrespectful. And because Max B was naturally charismatic, his insults stuck. Fans believed him, bloggers amplified him. Reaction channels turned his jokes into viral clips. 50 Cent, being someone who built an entire career off strategic trolling, recognized this skill immediately. He understood firsthand how dangerous a charismatic rival can be because they can destroy reputations without lifting a finger. And according to him, Jim Jones still remembers how bad things got when Max B started clowning him during their fallout. 50 explained.
So Jim Jones, compare the names. Look, Max Bigavell, Jim Jones. That don't even add up. That's not on my level, man.
That Jim Jones avoided responding directly to Max because he knew he couldn't win verbally. Max was too quick, too clever, too fearless. A single Max B interview could undo a year of branding. A single freestyle could bring attention back to the darkest parts of their fallout. A single quote could shift the narrative, but beyond verbal danger, 50 also highlighted something deeper. Max B represented truth. Not internet gossip, not third-party rumors, direct first-hand details about their history, business dealings, and the internal dysfunction within Bird Gang during their peak. According to 50, Jim knew that battling someone who had nothing to lose and knew everything about him was too risky. And that risk becomes even scarier now that Max B is free again. He's older, wiser, calmer, but still charismatic enough to shake the room the moment he speaks. That's why, according to 50 Cent, Jim Jones's biggest fear isn't Max B's music. It's Max B's ability to open his mouth and change the narrative forever. One of the most fascinating angles 50 Cent pointed out was the loyalty shift that occurred once Max B went to prison. Before the fallout, Max B and Jim Jones were inseparable in the eyes of fans. They made hits together, toured together, and elevated Harlem together. But once Max was sentenced, the question of loyalty, real loyalty, became the center of the discussion. According to 50, many people around Harlem believed Max B didn't receive the level of support he deserved during his incarceration. Whether financially, emotionally, or in terms of advocacy, Max was left feeling isolated, and that isolation became a weapon. The moment Max realized who stood beside him and who disappeared, he began treating his past relationships with a new level of raw honesty. 50 explained that Jim Jones fears this honesty because loyalty disputes always expose vulnerabilities. Whenever fans discuss Max B today, they also discuss betrayal, abandonment, and fairness. They discuss what really happened behind the scenes. They discuss how the money was split. They discuss who benefited the most from the success and who suffered the most afterward. The most damaging part, according to 50 Cent, is that the public perception leans heavily in Max B's favor. Fans romanticize the wave. They see Max as a victim of circumstance, a talented artist who never got the push he deserved, who was sidelined by contracts and internal politics, who ultimately paid the highest price while others continued building careers. Jim Jones can never erase that narrative. Even when he tries to address it, fans accuse him of lying. Even when he denies wrongdoing, reaction channels bring up old footage. Even when he says he wishes Max the best, people accuse him of hiding deeper motives. 50 Cent called this legacy pressure, the same pressure he created when he exposed Ja Rule, the same pressure the game created when he split from G-Unit, the same pressure artists face when their past refuses to fade. And with Max B finally coming home, fans believe a truth-telling era is coming. They're waiting for interviews, documentaries, tell-all podcasts, and unreleased footage. They're waiting for Max to speak freely, with no label interference and no dipset politics controlling the narrative. Jim Jones, according to 50, understands this deeply. He knows Max B might reveal conversations, contracts, street situations, or business details that could shake Harlem's history permanently. Whether those revelations would be fair or exaggerated doesn't matter. Once Max speaks, the culture will listen. This is why, according to 50 Cent, Jim Jones acts like the topic is off limits. Because Max B holds a key to a side of the story Jim can't afford to relive, especially now when both men's legacies are being reevaluated in real time by younger fans. And when legacy is at stake, silence becomes a defensive strategy. As the conversation evolved, 50 Cent also pointed out how the streets themselves played a role in the fear dynamic between Jim Jones and Max B. Harlem's history is layered. Loyalty, betrayal, reputation, and influence all intertwine. And according to 50, Max B's return brings energy that impacts not just the music scene, but the street culture surrounding it. Max B has one of the strongest cult followings in modern hip-hop. Even during his incarceration, his wave never died. His name gets shouted out by artists across the world. His influence is visible in the melodic style dominating mainstream rap. The streets respect him, the internet idolizes him, and the culture sees him as a legend whose story was cut short. Jim Jones, meanwhile, built a strong reputation and street foundation of his own, but the conversation around Max B always complicates that legacy. Whenever Jim posts online, fans flood the comments with Max B references. Whenever Jim celebrates new achievements, people bring up old disputes. Whenever Jim releases a new project, fans ask if he'll ever reconcile with Max. To 50 Cent, this proves that Max B's shadow still lingers over Jim Jones's career, a shadow even bigger now that Max is free and able to speak. But the most important point 50 made is this: fear doesn't always mean weakness. Sometimes it means guilt. Sometimes it means unfinished business. Sometimes it means respect mixed with regret. 50 explained that Jim Jones isn't scared of Max B physically. He's scared of losing control of the narrative. Max B is unpredictable. Max B is unapologetic. Max B holds pieces of the past that could reshape everything the culture believes. And Jim Jones knows that once Max starts speaking, the streets will believe him before they believe anyone else. This fear, according to 50, has shaped Jim's behavior for years. Avoiding the Max B topic, downplaying their feud, dismissing questions, or redirecting conversations. Every time Max B's name surfaces, Jim stiffens up on camera. Reaction channels break down his body language. Fans start placing pressure on him and the cycle repeats. With Max B's freedom, that pressure is only intensifying. Harlem is waiting, the industry is waiting, the interviews are waiting, the truth, whichever version comes out, is waiting. 50 Cent says this is why Jim Jones is scared, because Max B brings truth, history, influence, unpredictability, and a wave that can't be stopped. Everything Jim Jones avoided for years is now coming right back into the spotlight, and the entire culture is watching closely. Now that Max B is free, and 50 Cent has reignited the conversation, the question remains, what happens next? Will Jim Jones finally confront the situation publicly? Will Max B release music that reignites the rivalry? Will Harlem see a reconciliation, a confrontation, or a total rewriting of the story? 50 Cent believes the situation is far from over. According to him, Max B's freedom marks the beginning of a new era. A moment where hidden chapters of Harlem's history will finally be exposed. Whether through interviews, documentaries, or new music, Max B's voice is going to reshape the narrative. And Jim Jones knows the culture will listen to Max before anyone else. The fear isn't about violence. The fear is about truth. The fear is about reputation. The fear is about legacy. Max B represents a part of Jim Jones's past that refuses to stay buried. And now that the wave god is back on the streets, that chapter is roaring back to life. Fans are already demanding new music. Bloggers are lining up interviews. Reaction channels are dissecting every update. The culture is hungry, and Max B holds the meals. Jim Jones, meanwhile, stands at a crossroads. He can address the situation head-on, risking embarrassment, correction, or exposure, or he can continue avoiding the topic, hoping the wave eventually calms. But 50 Cent made it clear, the wave never calms. The wave god does not disappear. Max B is part of hip-hop folklore, and his return brings more energy than his exit ever did.
Whether the two ever reconcile is anyone's guess. The pain runs deep. So do the accusations. So do the memories. Harlem remembers everything, and Harlem never forgets. For now, 50 Cent's words have cracked open a door that may never close again. Fans now see the tension between Max B and Jim Jones not as old beef, but as unresolved history the culture deserves to hear. 50 didn't make the feud worse. He simply revealed why it still exists, why it never died, why it continues haunting Harlem's legacy. Max B is free. Jim Jones is watching. The streets are talking, and the wave is rising all over again. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more hip-hop breakdowns, cultural analysis, and raw storytelling.